Thank you. Welcome, everyone. It's another edition of our webinar, pre-webinar 2025, the last section for the year 2025. It's been a journey from the beginning of the year till now. For those of us that are joining us for the first time, you're welcome. In this very edition, we'll be talking on the future tech skills that we need to get ourselves ready for job in the year 2026. It's going to be a very robust section. Sit tight. This is coming to us from Jofia Academy, where we take students for O-level exams, JAMB, WAEC, PCE, NECO, Nigerian-based exams, and foreign exams, covering IELTS, tests for English, SAT, GMAT, GRE, as well as IGCSE. Those foreign exams you can prepare and register through Jofia Academy. Also, we take students for computer-based courses, starting from zero computer to tech world, covering PowerPoint, Excel, graphics, video editing, web development, front end, back end, UI, UX, app development, digital marketing, and many other cybersecurity. So many courses under tech. You're free to join us. You can learn online, you can learn physical, you can learn even home-based. Anywhere you are in any part of the world, you can pick up any of these courses, as well as register students for NYSC registration, online registration. Also, we get through adult education. If you have lost track of education, you can return back through the platform of Jofia Academy. So this is ourselves equipped for the new year. And our facilitator for this evening, welcome Mr. Innocent as it
Okay, please, can you hear me now? No. Can you hear me now, please? Some people say they are hearing me. Can. Please, if you can hear me, leave it in the chat, please. If you can hear me, please. One more time. I'm sorry. All right. Thank you. This is technology, so things like this happen. Okay, so I think I will I'll go over this one more time. I'll go over the introduction one more time. So my name is Innocent Emiku, and I'll be taking you on some of the skill that you should put an eye out for. So if you've been considering taking that first step into tech, maybe this webinar can be the perfect place for you to ask those questions and to get those clarity that you've been having, or to get those clarities that you've been wanting to hear. Like I said, please use the chat. If there's anything, just use the chat. All right. So I started by saying the job market won't just evolve, it will transform, and it will reshape itself around a fresh constellation of digital skills. And some of these digital skills are the things we are here to learn about. So we are trying as much as we can to look into the year 2026 to see what the digital landscape is going to look like and what some of those skills we should keep an eye out for in the forthcoming year. All right. Now, I said, gone are the days when technology was a visitor in our careers. At this point, it is the architect, the heartbeat, and even the secret composer behind everything that we do as people living in the 21st century. So whether you are building applications or let's say you work in the tax office, work in healthcare, it doesn't matter whatever you do. Solving problems is going to be at the top of everything you do. All right. Now, the thrilling part of all this is these emerging skills we are going to be talking about are not just for tech geniuses, people who are genius in the tech world, no, or people who are, Silicon Valley dreamers. They are becoming the universal language of opportunity, the new passport to relevance. For example, people who are online today, they have to learn digital skills, be it your content creator, be it the movies you stream on YouTube. There are people who have acquired digital skills to help them be able to do that. All right, so we are going to be stepping into this conversation and with an open mind, like I said earlier, as well as a curious spirit, because the technology skills that will dominate 2026 are more than trends. It's not just about what is trending. They are the bridges that will carry us into the next chapter of work. If you are like me, you would have heard how this job is going to be taken over by A, B, and C. So this is a new chapter of work, of creativity, as well as of possibilities. All right. Now, this image is typical of what most people trying to learn technological skills without the right mindset end up with. Why do I have this picture? Well, I have this image because Mr. A will go to, let's say, an institution and he'll say, I want to learn this skill. 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or maybe a month and a half into learning that skill, he becomes fed up. He will take a back seat for a while. And then after 2 months later, you say, okay, I want to learn another one. And because of that, he will go take, and if you see these apples, they are all maybe 1 or 2 bites, right? So at the end of the day, you end up learning 1 or 2 or even more data skills, but you learn them halfway. Sometimes 2 weeks into it, sometimes 3 weeks into it, sometimes maybe a month plus. This is what you end up with when you don't have the right mindset going into that skill. And what I want to try to do is to make sure that each and every one of us here go into learning new skill in this digital world with the right mindset. So I'm not going to start downloading all the skills that we are going to be talking about right off the bat. What I want to do is to first of all prepare your mind, to have the right mindset towards whatever it is you are going to be learning. So we are going to start all the way from the beginning. Now, before we begin, we are going to run through the list of what and what not to adapt in this 2026 we are gearing up to. But I'd like us to start from the beginning. I want us to take most of the time we've got today to learn how to prepare our mind to learn some or any of the tech skills we'll be talking about and sharing with you in the second part of this webinar. I'm focusing today on this because you may decide to pick up any tech skill come next year, but doing so without the right mindset, like I said earlier, may lead to burnout, and you ultimately are going to abandon that course. It doesn't matter if it is online or physical. If you don't have the right mindset, you're definitely going to burn out. And to prevent that burnout, what we want to do is to prepare our mindset towards learning that new skill. So I spoke about mindset a lot. Before you write a single line of code, or even if you are learning a tech skill that does not involve coding, deciding which course to commit to, or maybe designing your first user interface, or whatever it is you want to do. Tech is powerful, we know. It is exciting, everybody can attest to that. And sometimes it is widely confusing. But with the right mindset, you'll be able to glide through these skills like someone who is prepared to. But without the right mindset, you see those stumbling blocks as you bust up, and that is where you drop off. So the first thing I want to talk about today concerning this mindset is for you to embrace beginner energy. What do I mean by embracing beginner energy? Well, some of us are professionals already in a particular field. And because we are professionals, bring yourself to learning new things. Adopting new technology is a little bit difficult. So that's why I said to embrace beginner energy. When you are starting something new, especially in technology, it's normal to feel clueless. That feeling isn't a sign that you are not meant for this, or you're not supposed to be there, or you are overreaching. It's proof that you're exactly where you are supposed to be. Beginners have the advantage of curiosity, fresh eyes, and zero pressure to be perfect. Imagine opening a software as somebody who is getting into tech for the very first time. Everything is definitely going to look foreign to you. It's like landing in a city with signs you can't read. Instead of freezing or maybe becoming tense, you treat every button like an adventure. You click here, you explore there, you try this, you try that, and slowly the city becomes familiar to you. What am I saying? Let curiosity be your tour guide. I can tell you from a personal experience that most of the things I do today in tech, I do them out of the curiosity that I had originally going into them. 2016, that was the first time I went headfirst into tech. But a year prior, 2015, was when I wrote my first line of code. And it was as a result of a class I attended back in secondary school, where a copper said, writing code is very, very easy. All you just press, no, he said, building a website is very, very easy. All you need to do is you do this, and before you know, you have a website. It was very, very easy for him to say, because what you know is easy. When I went into it, I was like, wow, because what he said is true. I started learning HTML and CSS, and in the first 3 weeks, I was building static websites with different colors and different fonts on a computer that is not even mine. And that curiosity was what continued to propel me up until today. So the first one is to embrace beginner energy. Secondly, fall in love with the process, not just the outcome. I know why I'm saying this. I'm saying this because out there, a lot of people will say, tech is where the money is. Why not go into tech? It's not just about the outcome, which in this case is money. It's about the process. Because when you put money first, this is what happens. You burn out easily. How do you burn out? Well, if you've given yourself 3 months to finish this course, or 6 months to finish this course, and for some reason you're unable to finish it, or you're unable to maybe assimilate quickly, you become frustrated. You've given yourself 6 months and then probably, or maybe, 3 months, and then probably in the next 6 months you're supposed to start earning something. Now you've not been able to get this skill under your belt as quickly as you should. And now it's like you're running against time. This is why I said, fall in love with the process, not just the outcome. I've had students tell me in between classes, or maybe from the very first day they come to make inquiry, how soon can I learn this thing? Or how soon can I get a job after learning this thing? And I tell them, forget about that right now. What you should focus on is enjoying what you do. Once you enjoy doing it, over time, it becomes something you do without even thinking twice about it. And then, once you start making money off it, it becomes a bonus. So fall in love with the process. So tech learners often rush to become a developer. You know, when with the word developer, it could mean anything in tech. Probably I'm a mobile app developer, I'm a website developer, I'm a cloud, blah, 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 and all of those things. Or to get certified in cybersecurity or in this and that. And while that goes, all those goals are great, focusing only on the destination can drain that feeling of accomplishment you get along the way. The magic is in the small, steady steps that you take on a daily basis, the daily discoveries that shape the skill that you have. That is what it means to be someone who is in tech. So like I said, fall in love with the process. Fall in love with the process. Think about learning how to cook. The first pasta dish might be a little salty, but the smell, the stirring, the tasting, that's the fun part. In tech, your first hello world statement, for those who have done anything related to programming, you know that the classic programming introductory line in almost every programming language is hello world. It's like you announcing yourself to the world that, hey, I'm a developer now, or I'm a programmer now, right? So your first hello world might be the feeling that spur you on, even when things become a little bit difficult. Because like in everything, it gets difficult at some point, right? So fall in love with the process, not just the outcome. Number 3, exercise patience. Yes. As anybody in tech, in fact, any field of tech, the skill you need is patience. Yes, you need it. So exercise patience. Technology doesn't always cooperate. Remember, before we started this now, you couldn't hear me. Why? Because my microphone wasn't cooperating. All right, that's what it is in tech. Technologies doesn't always cooperate. Sometimes the issue is a missing bracket, a missing semicolon, or a typo hiding in a hiding somewhere that you can barely figure it out. Patience keeps your mind calm enough to find the problem and learn from it. I remember writing my first server-side programming language was PHP. Before then, I had learned JavaScript. And with JavaScript, the semicolon is mostly optional. You don't have to use semicolon. And I'm learning PHP where that is not even up for discussion. You must include a semicolon when you are working with PHP. It became difficult. The first couple of weeks I tried working with PHP, I always forget to put my semicolon. But after a while, what happened? It became second nature. And even when I write JavaScript where semicolon is optional, I know when to and when not to use semicolon. So you need to exercise patience. So what we are talking about is the right mindset to be able to learn any tech skill. It's not about getting to the result. Patience is important. You write a simple computer program and it keeps crashing. You check everything. Everything looks well, but nothing is working. Then after a calm breath, you notice the smallest typo. Instead of you to write printing, you have missed maybe the G. All right. Suddenly, everything runs smoothly and you laugh at how tiniest of all problems could get you stuck for the next 3 hours. That is what you experience as somebody who is learning to become proficient in a tech skill. It doesn't matter if it is something that has to do with core programming or anything. It's something that is just there in tech. Next, you have to build a growth mindset. What do I mean by this? A growth mindset says, I can learn this if I put in the effort. It treats struggles as stepping stones instead of dead ends. The mindset turns confusion into curiosity and challenges into opportunities. Without a growth mindset, where every stumbling block becomes an excuse to quit, you can't make it, or you can't get to the outcome that you may have set from the onset. So to be good in tech, you have to build a growth mindset. Next, accept failure as part of the curriculum. Yes, accept failure as part of the curriculum. And when I talk about failure in this case, I'm not talking about failure not to complete what you've started. No. In tech, mistakes are not embarrassing. I'm going to tell you this now, as someone who has made this mistake this morning, yesterday, the day before, and throughout the week, I've made mistakes trying to do something. So in tech, mistakes are not embarrassing. They are expected. Every error message is simply a teacher saying, look here, learn this. This is not how to do it. I'm expecting this. Give me that. If you treat failures with kindness, your learning becomes smoother and less stressful in tech. So accept that failure is part of the curriculum. Failure is going to come in, day out. But the most important thing is you stay grounded and keep moving. Next, create a learning routine. In tech, you need to create a learning routine. I've not seen somebody who said, oh, I'm a developer or I'm into tech, and on a daily basis, you don't see them participating in that tech culture. They do. You have to. So it becomes what? A routine. For example, if I'm traveling from here to the mainland, I can't go without my laptop bag. I can't do it. That is just how it has been for me. How do we make, or how do we create a learning routine? Your brain, or the human brain, loves consistency. So even if it is for 20 to 30 minutes a day, it's better than 5 hours a week. Daily contact with tech keeps your skill warm and your mind in flow. What does that mean? In school, they used to tell us, if you leave mathematics for 1 day, mathematics will leave you for 3 days. If you leave math for 1 week, it will leave you for 1 month. Trust me, there are technology skills that I've learned 2 years ago that at this point, I can't even remember anything. Something I learned, used for 2 years, but because other things came up and I wanted to, switch, I left them for a while. When I went back after a couple of months, I can't find my way around it anymore. So to get into tech, you need to create a learning routine. For example, after dinner each evening, you set a timer for 20 minutes. If you're using Microsoft Windows, there's an application called Timer where you can create, there's something called Pomodoro technique where you learn for 20 minutes or you work for 20 minutes and then you rest for 5 minutes. After that 5 minutes, you can do another session, 20 minutes, another 5 minutes, another 20 minutes, another 5 minutes. So even if it's after dinner, taking 20 minutes out of your time to just learn about a small concept in programming generally. And before you know, days will start into weeks. And before you even notice, you've completed a module, you've solved a task, or you've built something, all without even breaking a sweat. So create a learning routine. Next, surround yourself with a tech tribe. Tech tribe simply means people who are also in tech. The other person may be doing cloud computing, may be doing front-end development. It doesn't matter. Is that person in tech? Good. Bring that person into your tribe and form some kind of a clique where you guys always share ideas, talk about your struggles and all that. All right? Learning alone is harder. And I can attest to this because when I started between 2015 down to 2020, 2020, so 5 years into tech, I was doing it all by myself. And trust me, it was very, very, very difficult. It was very, very difficult. So learning alone is harder. When you have people who understand your struggles and celebrate your progress, everything becomes lighter. A tech tribe gives you support, answers, opportunities, as well as community for you to grow. It looks like I messed up this caption for this. My bad. Now, you can decide to join a beginner-friendly WhatsApp group, or even if it's a Discord channel. One day you get stuck with a challenge, you just ask the group, or just send a screenshot to that group, and everyone replies, or even someone replies. Oh, you forgot to import this. And before you know, your error is fixed in seconds. So you may be asking, if I'm good at tech, why am I asking other people? Well, let me break the news to you. People who work at Google, they still Google answers to their questions. Yes, you heard it from me. As we speak right now, developers at Google still run into problems. And they are the same developers that built YouTube, that built the Google search engine, that built Google Cloud, and they still run into issues. So surrounding yourself with a tech tribe is not a sign that you're not good enough. No, every developer faces the same challenge. And that is why this tribe can help propel you to become better. Let me quickly check into the chat and see if there's a question. Okay. Let me see. Okay, somebody in the chat can easily relate to what it means to learn on your own. It's very difficult. All right, let's see what we have next. Stay hungry for knowledge. Yep, you have to stay hungry for knowledge because technology changes quickly. You have to stay open-minded. You have to stay open-minded. Because being open-minded prepares you to grow. Instead of the feeling of being left behind. Again, you don't have to learn anything at once. Just stay curious and stay willing. Today, we are learning the basics of HTML. Next month, someone else mentions React. You jump into React. It's definitely going to, it's going to be overwhelming. And then it brings us back to those apples with just one bite. You start one thing. Let me put it on the screen again. It brings us back here. You start one thing. You are not done with it yet. Before you know, you jump into something else. This is not the curiosity I'm talking about. The ones you've learned, what are the new things being introduced in those technologies? Go back and refresh. If you feel comfortable in the current skills you have, and you've used those skills over time, then you can now begin to add more to it. Most of the time, I would advise learning one thing at a time instead of spreading your time across multiple things at the same time. All right. So it's important we do this to stay hungry for knowledge. Stay hungry for knowledge. Then, this is very, very important. It is good you believe that you are good enough to be in tech. Yes. Have that mindset that you are good enough to be in tech. Reason why I said this is because imposter syndrome will whisper lies in your ears. Imposter syndrome will tell you you are not smart enough. You are too old. You are too late to the meeting. None of that is real. Tech is full of people who started late, struggled, doubted themselves, and still succeeded. You belong here because of the fact that you showed up. When I talk about imposter syndrome, I was talking to one of my students a couple of days ago, and I asked him, have you ever felt imposter syndrome? Have you ever felt like you're not good enough? And he said yes. And I said, good. Imposter syndrome, if you are a human being and you don't have imposter syndrome, then something is wrong with you. Maybe you're a narcissist. Maybe you're narcissistic. Everybody have this feeling of not being enough at some point. It's a normal thing. Everybody have doubt. If you say you don't have doubt, probably you are very prideful to admit that you do. And no one is a superhuman. So you attend your first tech startup, your first tech meetup, for example, where you have a conference where people from different arms of technology, people in robotics and all of that, they are all gathered and they are feeling like, whoa, am I supposed to be here? These people are very, very eloquent. They are speaking in, using tech jargons. They are speaking using tech jargons and I can't relate. Maybe I'm not supposed to be here. Well, for a moment, you shrink inside, right? We've all felt that way. But to remind yourself again, everybody started somewhere. Ask one brief question. Someone answers kindly. You feel a tiny spark of belonging. That spark becomes your confidence. I remember I said I learned alone. So the very first time I actually met a programmer was about 2.5 years after I started up, gathering tech skills. And when I met the person said, okay, you can do this. What about this? I said, I can't yet. He said, now wow. How about this other one? He said, if you've not learned this, then it means you haven't started. That's what the person said. That's what the person said. And then a couple of days later, I decided to start going to that person's place. And then we started meeting up here and there. And then some boys brought a job. And he said, looking at this job, can you do it? I said, yes. And those guys paid at the time, that was 2019. At the time they brought the job was around, I think 200,000 to 400,000. And it's the job we could complete in just maybe 5 days. No much work. It's very simple to do. And he said, can you handle this? I said, yes. A day after I completed the job, he asked me, are you done? I said, not yet. Once I delivered the job, he was impressed. And then over time, I discovered that I was better than this person even. But because the person has been dabbling from jumping from this skill to this skill to this skill to this skill, he felt he has more tools in his tool set than myself. I had fewer tools, but I was good at what I was doing. He had so many tools, but it wasn't good enough. So believe that you belong in tech. You need to have that mindset. Finally, celebrate every milestone. Because, like we mentioned earlier, the brain loves reward. So celebrating small wins will fuel your motivation and turns learning into a joyful adventure, a joyful experience instead of a stressful chore. You fix your first mistake, you celebrate. You build your first landing page, you celebrate. You finish your first course, you celebrate. And here's one thing I didn't include because I wanted to actually touch on this myself. What I want to say is this. When you go into tech and you make your decision to take one particular course, please and please, you are going to hear a lot of people come up and tell you, who is still learning this thing? Who is still using this skill? You should be doing this instead. Don't listen to them. I'm telling you this. And because I said this may save you the next 2 years struggling to play catch up. Yes. Catching up with the Kardashians, right? Most of us never caught up with them. So don't listen to anybody. Pick your skill, make your research, and go head first and focus on it. Example I gave earlier, it's better to have 2 skills that you are good at than having 10 skills that are just maybe good at. Because in tech, being able to start a project from beginning to the end is important compared to starting and not finishing, or starting and then there's a need to bring somebody else to come and finish what you've started. So celebrate every milestone. Buy yourself a snack. Take a selfie even if you want. Share it on social media. Mark the moment if you will. These celebrations keep your momentum alive. We are in Nigeria, so I'm not going to escape the Nigerian factor because this your journey we are talking about into tech may come with NEPA surprises. Noisy environment, as well as your data running out at the worst possible time, but your destination becomes your generator, keeping your progress alive, even when things around you fluctuate. Because with curiosity as your torchlight, patience as your power bank, and consistency as your daily bread, trust me, you rise steadily. I'm saying this because all this is from experience. I learned how to code in the most unpleasant environments. Yes, I did. So each small win becomes a testimony. You hear people say data analytics. If you learn your first tool for data analytics, celebrate it. Each challenge becomes a stepping stone. Each new skill you acquire becomes a door opening elsewhere, be it in Lagos, be it in Abuja, be it in Enugu, even across the ocean, it doesn't matter. Your mindset is the soil. Because this tech world is full of opportunities. And this mindset, I would say, is the soil, it needs water. You are not just learning for today if you get into tech today or tomorrow. You'd be learning and preparing yourself for the future. And like I said, with this mindset I just explained, you can learn any skill. Some of you will be asking, I'm not very good with mathematics. The question is, can you read and write? If you can read and write, you can be in tech. That is all it takes. The most important thing is select the one that suits you, and you'll be good. Select the ones that suit you, and you'll be good. Let's see if we have questions in the chat. I've said a couple of things. Please, if you have any questions, meet me in the chat. Let's discuss. I'll be looking at the chat, and then I'll be answering the questions one at a time. Let's see. Okay, somebody is asking, what is Tech Tribe? Well, Tech Tribe is more like your clique, like your close friends. But instead of using the word close friends, we are talking about industry friends, people you are in the same industry with. Let's say I start learning how to build websites today. All right. If I go to Facebook and I search for, let's say, front-end development, or let's say HTML group, I'm going to see a whole lot of group where people are discussing HTML in that group. After answering some question or asking some question, somebody replies to that question, I can decide to chat that person up privately, and before you know, we become a tech tribe. Another person will join us, another person will join us, but we are just a tribe of people who are learning programming, coding, website development, or whatsoever is it you are learning. And then over time, here's why tech tribe is important. Over time, we come together and we say, because we can all do this, why not join forces and build a project? And that is how Paystack happened. And that is how PayPal happened. And that is how Facebook happened, right? This is the reason why Tech Tribe is important. Or Mr. A has a job. Ms. B could contribute to that job, and everybody contributes, we finish with the project, and everybody gets our share of the money that was paid for it. Or I have a job, but I'm currently my schedule is very, very tight. I can't do it. So I look for the other guy who can also do it, and then I give that job to him. This is how you begin to build your tech tribe. And then over time, somebody will leave that circle, make other friends, and before you know, you are now connected to people from different aspect of tech. That is what I mean by Tech Tribe. Okay, now the next question is, can I get some name of social media on Tech Tribe? So it depends on the skill you are learning. Before you start building your Tech Tribe, it depends on the skill you are learning, because you want to be in that Tech Tribe with people with like minds, people who are doing the same thing. People have, like we said, people who know your struggle. They'll be the one to help celebrate your wins, right? So if, let's say, you want to learn a particular tech skill, let's use cybersecurity as an example. Once you enroll and you begin to learn about cybersecurity, you can now go to social media platforms and then just type cybersecurity group. Trust me, I'm going to get tens, if not hundreds of these groups. What you want to do is you want to look for maybe the one that is maybe based in Nigeria here. And then over time, you can now look for the ones that are international and then belong to those groups. For example, when I started writing my first code using a platform called FreeCodeCamp. FreeCodeCamp is still in existence today. They have a YouTube channel and they have about 10 million subscribers. Their website where I learned, it's still present today and it is completely free. So when I started using FreeCodeCamp, I joined their Facebook group, because at the time WhatsApp is not, we don't have WhatsApp group at the time. So I joined their Facebook group, and they have different Facebook groups. For example, FreeCodeCamp Abuja, FreeCodeCamp Lagos. You know, you can now join their group. Now, when I see Abuja and Lagos, I know that there's a 100% chance that people who are here are Nigerians. Although there will be exception to that, but I believe that most of the people in this group will be Nigerians. So the moment I'm learning something and I'm confused, I just take a screenshot, maybe snap it with my phone, upload it to the group, and then type my question. And then somebody there will just comment on it, and that comment would be the answer to my problem. After the person answered that question, I can just simply tell the person, thank you, and then probably chat the person up privately and say, man, thank you for helping me out, but where are you? We are in Lagos. To what part of Lagos? And before you know it gives you an opportunity to network, basically. That is what a Tech Tribe can do, and that's how you build it. So after making that person your friend on Facebook, you can ask for their WhatsApp number, you add them on WhatsApp, and as more people are coming, as you're interacting with people online, you are definitely going to connect like that. And then before you know, you build your Tech Tribe. And then again, please, since we are talking about using social media, you'd also have to be careful. Try not to, give out personal information like, this is my address, this is this, until you are able to verify that this person is, you get what I'm saying. So yes. Please, if you have any more questions, leave it in the chat, leave it in the chat, leave it in the chat. Because by tomorrow, we are going to be talking about these skills, and we are starting with user interface and user experience design. Then after that, we move into cybersecurity, and then we'll go on with that. So if you have any question right now, you can leave it in the chat very quickly. Okay, if there's no question, then I want to quickly touch the first skill and then we'll wrap up. The other ones come in by tomorrow. I said something about user interface and user experience design. This is one of the skills that you need come 2026. You may ask, why user experience and user interface design? What does it mean and all of that? We'll answer those questions. Please, I want us to understand that user interface, user experience design, this can be shortened at UI, UX design, or UX, UI design, however you want it, but it's usually UI, UX design. UI is short for user interface. UX is short for user experience. All right. So you'll be asking, what kind of skill is this? So I'll just start by saying, imagine you walking into a building where every door opens smoothly. Every sign points you in the right direction. Every room feels like it understands exactly what you need or what you want. Now imagine the opposite of this, and I just explained. A building where nothing makes sense. You enter an elevator that is supposed to take you to the second floor, or let's say the third floor. And all of a sudden, it's taking you to the ground floor. How would you feel? Right? You'll be confused. That, in simple terms, is the difference between a good design and a bad design. And user interface and user experience is the craft that makes digital spaces feel like that first building where everything works smoothly. Now, every app you love, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, whatever it is, every website you enjoy, every product that works the way you want, that is UI, UX design working behind the scene. Like a quiet poet shaping your digital journey. That is what user interface and user experience is about. I know I'm still speaking in Twi language, and we are not from Ghana, but user interface and user experience design is the art and science of creating digital products, websites, apps, dashboards that are beautiful, easy to use, and comfortable for real people. This is what user interface and user experience is about. So let me ask you a question. Let's say there is a 5-story building. Do you think somebody just got up one morning and said, let's build? No. There's a process. What's that process? Let's first of all call an architect to draw a plan of a 5-story building. After drawing the plan, we review the plan, we make correction, he goes back to correct that mistake, and then comes back. We'll make sure that everything, every I is dotted and everything is crossed before we now call on the civil engineer to implement that plan. Right. This is exactly how the mobile app you are using right now, or the laptop software, or the software on the laptop you are using, or even the website, the dashboard, whatever it is, this is exactly how they are built as well. So the mobile, let's assume your banking app, for example. Before any line of code was written, somebody came and drew the user interface, as well as the person also created the user experience. And that experience the person created is what you are enjoying today. That is what user experience is. So let's liken this to an architect versus a civil engineer. In this case, the architect is the UI, UX designer. And the architect, sorry, not the architect now, the civil engineer is the programmer that wrote the code for the website. Remember we said the architect drew the plan, what everything is supposed to look like once it's completed. That doesn't mean you can now pack into the plan, no, because the plan is not the real thing, right? The same thing with a UI, UX designer. What he does is he creates the experience. And after that, as well as the user interface, and then after that, the coder or the programmer, however I want to call that person, or the developer comes in, looks at that design, and the person begins to write a code that is going to be the complete interpretation of that design. I know I'm still speaking my native language, and all of you are not from my state. Let's take a look at what this looks like. And then I'll give you an example. We said UX is short for user experience. UI is short for user interface. So the user experience, like I said, is all about understanding the journey the user is going to take. For example, I'm the user interface, user experience designer now. So I'm going to ask myself, if this person picks up the app, what do I want the person to see? okay, the person is going to see my logo or the logo of the brand flash before their eyes, just like when you open your, let's say, your bank, or let's say you open Facebook. You first of all see that Facebook app, the Facebook logo. Then after that, that gives way. If you're already signed in, you begin to now see all your friends and all the things you have on your timeline. Without that, if you're not logged in, after that logo flashes, what do you see? You see a login screen. All of that is the user experience. Because when you use applications, there are some applications that are so frustrating that after using it for the very first time, you don't want to go back to those apps. You begin to look for alternatives, right? That is bad user experience. So the user experience designer try to put themselves in the shoe of somebody using the app, and then they ask themselves this question continuously: am I enjoying using this app? If I'm not enjoying using this app, why am I not enjoying using it? Then they begin to now provide solution to those problems. And the way they do this is by doing what they call user research. For example, who are the audience? Who are the people using this app once it's completed? Is it old people, children, or teenagers, or maybe just people between the age of 20 to, let's say, 55? Knowing who you are designing for helps you to now create that app in a way that will cater to their needs instead of just creating it blindly. So user research tells you who this app is meant for. You understand now? So this is the work of a user interface and user experience designer. And like I said, UI UX is one of the skills to look out for. Now, by the way, this one is not programming inclined. You don't have to say, I don't want to do this coding thing. You don't have to code when you are doing UI UX design. It's more like graphic design. It's more like graphic design. And because it's more like graphic design, wait a minute. Now, because it's more like graphic design, it now makes it easier to work without you having to do any kind of coding. For those who are afraid of coding, this is the reason why I made this the first thing. Don't be afraid of coding. This is not difficult to do. All right, so I want to quickly show you what user interface and user experience design look like. And because of this, if you are on his phone, I'd like you to maybe turn your phone the other way. That way, you can easily see what I'm doing, because I want to share my screen, and if you're on a smaller device, you may not necessarily see what is on the screen. So, like I said, if you are on a smartphone, you can always switch your computer. Now, this is what, by the way, I'll be looking away from the camera because I have another screen here and I want to quickly show you some things. So this is a simple, by the way, this is just a sketch I put together to show you. This is what user interface and user experience looks like. Obviously, there's no computer code here. We have some things on the screen. So each of these things you have here represents a screen of the app. So the moment you open the app, the first thing you see is this blue screen. And then after a while, this screen will give way to this first screen. This is if you are installing the app for the very first time. But if you're not installing for the very first time, you're not going to see all of this. After this, it takes you directly to the app so you can see. Now, let me quickly show this. This is supposed to be a mobile app, right? So when I click here, this is exactly what it looks like. You see the way that blue screen gave way to this other screen. And then I can click on next. I can click on next. And I can even move to this home screen to see what the application will look like once the application is completed. As you can see, this is a phone screen on display here. All right. This is not a real phone, but it looks as if it is a real phone, right? That way you can get the experience. You can measure the experience as if you are on an actual phone. This is what user interface and user experience is about. So these buttons you see, all this color, this is the user interface. But once you begin to interact with the application, you can see the way I'm sliding from left to right. Once you begin to now interact with it, this is now the user experience. And like I said, this is not something you write code on. I know we are past our time, but I'll be wrapping up now. This is the first skill I want us to discuss. And as you can see, it's very easy to do. Not that easy because you've not learned how to do it, but it's all about drawing things on the screen, knowing how to find your way around the program. And this tool I'm using is called Figma. This is the tool used for doing user interface and user experiences. And on that note, I'd like to end today's session, except somebody has a question to type in the chat very quickly before we end today's session. Except somebody has a question to put in the chat, and then I'll answer that before we end today's session. There's a question very quickly. I don't think there is any. Well, thank you guys for making it a date with us. As usual, I'm very, very happy that you guys were able to stay with me. And I hope my explanation was not very, very confusing. Okay, somebody just left a message. Let's check that quickly. Okay, I said user interface and user experience. User interface and user experience. So the experience you get, good or bad, when you use something. Thank you. All right, so thank you guys for making it a date with us. Tomorrow we are going to go into the other aspect of some of the skills that we have planned for you. Thank you so much, and I'm grateful. See you tomorrow. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Innocent. Thank you for everyone that joined us. This is coming to us from Jofia Academy. God bless you for joining. Like he mentioned, we're continuing tomorrow, day 2 of this free webinar. It's a monthly adventure, and many have enjoyed the experience. Thank you for joining. Jofia Academy, we cover students for Nigerian exams, foreign exams, as well as computer courses. And we have to get ourselves ready for 2026. And each of the tips mentioned are major keys that we all need to get ourselves prepared. Thank you so much for joining. And we hope to see you day 2 tomorrow, the same time, 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. As well as, just to remind us, this whole video is also on YouTube. We'll send the link as well. Just check Jofia Academy. You will get in the link and you can watch over and over again. God bless you for joining, and see you all tomorrow. Share the link to someone, encourage someone to be there, and we'll all have not just the user experience, you have a personal experience as well. God bless you for joining. Thank you.